There are moments in reality TV that hit like a lightning strike, loud, shocking, and impossible to ignore. And then there are moments that simmer quietly beneath the surface until the truth finally explodes in front of millions. This is one of those moments, because the message Carlos King just sent to Martell Holt wasn't whispered, hinted, or hidden. It was delivered with the force of a man who has reached his limit, a man who watched his creation slip into chaos and finally decided to remind everybody exactly who controls the throne. And Martell, he never saw this coming. Not like this, not this direct, not this brutal. People always say reality TV is unpredictable, messy, and full of surprises. But what nobody expected was for Carlos King, the man who built Love and Marriage Huntsville from the ground up, to step out of the shadows and confront the very star he once protected. A wake-up call disguised as a message, wrapped inside a moment so sharp, even the cast wasn't prepared. And today, we're going deep into that moment, the tension, the history, the downfall, and the shift that's changing the show forever. But before we reach the explosion, before we break down Carlos King's scathing message, we have to go back, because this story didn't start overnight. It didn't start with a reunion or a court date or a cast fight. It started long before Huntsville knew the name Martell Holt, long before fans were choosing sides. Long before social media turned their family drama into a battlefield, this wake-up call was years in the making. Martell Holt was once the shining figure of the series, the charismatic businessman, the father with a polished smile, the man who walked into every room like the world belonged to him. Back then, Martell wasn't just part of the show, he was one of the reasons it existed. When he and Melody walked into Carlos King's office with the idea that would eventually become Love and Marriage Huntsville, they were united, polished, and ambitious. They were the couple that inspired other couples. They were the center of gravity around which everything else revolved. And in those early days, Martell was the golden boy. Charming, confident, sharp. He knew how to command the camera, how to stir tension, and how to stay relevant, even before the world knew what he was capable of behind closed doors. But success does strange things to people. It exposes the cracks they tried to hide. It makes small problems louder. It magnifies ego, insecurity, desire. And it was only a matter of time before Martell's picture-perfect life began to crumble. The affair, the lies, the denials, the interviews, the breakdown of his marriage, all of it became part of the show's foundation. And as Melody rebuilt herself from the ground up, Martell drifted deeper into the chaos he created. Carlos witnessed every moment, every tear, every scandal, every betrayal. And at first, he tried to guide Martell back on track, privately, respectfully, with the patience of someone who wanted his cast to succeed beyond the cameras. But Martell kept slipping, kept spiraling, kept choosing the storm over stability. And eventually, the patience ran out. Because what nobody tells you about reality TV is that yes, drama sells. Yes, conflict builds an audience. Yes, chaos keeps people watching. But there is a difference between good TV and self-destruction. And Martell, over the last several seasons, crossed that line more times than Carlos could count. It wasn't just the arguments. It wasn't just the messy social media. It wasn't even the court battles that spilled into the spotlight. It was something deeper. Something that became impossible for Carlos to ignore. Martell started believing the show couldn't move without him, that he was untouchable, that his name alone kept the ratings steady, that he was the star, not the cast, not the storyline, not the ensemble, but him. And while Carlos watched Martell lose Melody, lose his public support, and slowly lose control of the narrative, Martell still acted like he was above the consequences. But here's the twist. Carlos King had reached a point where he wasn't just trying to protect the show anymore. He was trying to save Martell from himself. And that's why this wake-up call hit so hard. The real shift began long before Martell realized it. Producers started making different choices. Camera time began to shift. Confessionals weren't focused on Martell the way they used to be. Other cast members were being pushed forward. New storylines were rising. Martell's dominance was fading quietly, almost invisibly. But it wasn't invisible to Carlos, because Carlos was the one pulling the strings. He watched Martell walk into scenes with the same old energy, the swagger, the ego, the assumption that he could hijack any moment. And yet, the cameras weren't following him as closely. His reactions weren't driving the episodes. The storyline didn't bend around him anymore. And then came the moment that changed everything. The reunion taping and the court hearing were scheduled on the same day. A day that forced Martell to choose between the show that shaped him and the legal responsibilities that defined the consequences of his choices. What nobody expected was the outcome. What nobody expected was the silence. What nobody expected was the message behind it. Martell didn't show up to court. He chose the set. He chose the cameras. He chose the illusion of control. And Carlos? Carlos took one long, quiet breath and made his decision. The scathing wake-up call wasn't sent through a text, a DM, or a behind-the-scenes conversation. It was sent through action, the loudest language in reality television. Carlos let the moment play out publicly. He didn't defend Martell, he didn't cover for him, he didn't soften the blow, he didn't spin the narrative. He let Martell take the hit and feel it, because sometimes silence is sharper than any words. Social media tore Martell apart. Cast members reacted with shock, side eyes, giggles, and frustration. Fans dissected every detail. Even bloggers who once supported him stepped back. And Carlos? He stayed quiet, watching, waiting, allowing Martell to see the consequences of his choices without the safety net he once relied on. That silence was the wake-up call. But that wasn't the end, because the real message came during the reunion, when Martell walked in expecting to be the center of the spotlight, only to find the energy had shifted entirely. Melody stood there stronger than ever, calm, confident, and unbothered. Marcel and Tisha stepped into their roles like they had been waiting for this moment. Kimmy and Maurice moved with the quiet stability they were always known for. Even Miss Wanda seemed to sense the shift and adjusted her attitude accordingly. Everyone had found their position. Everyone except Martell. For the first time in the show's history, he wasn't the star of the room. And then it happened. During a moment that was small enough to miss, but powerful enough to send chills through the set, Carlos stepped forward, looked directly at Martell, and delivered the wake-up call in one single sentence. You need to get yourself together. Simple, sharp, undeniable. The cast went silent. The room froze. Even the cameras paused for a beat. Martell wasn't used to being spoken to that way, not by Carlos, not in front of everyone, not during a reunion that he believed was built around him. And that sentence wasn't just a comment, it was a warning, a line in the sand, a message that said, the show will continue, with or without you. That was the moment Martell understood, really understood, that the power he thought he had was gone, that the throne he believed was his had quietly been taken away. That his influence didn't outweigh the consequences anymore. Carlos wasn't angry. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't emotional. He was firm, calm, controlled, and sometimes that hurts more. After the reunion, things changed fast behind the scenes. Martell tried to do damage control online, posting motivational quotes, pictures with his kids, business promos, spiritual captions, but the audience wasn't buying it. They saw desperation where he tried to show strength. They saw excuses where he tried to show confidence. Meanwhile, Carlos continued building the show without leaning on Martell's chaos. Melody's growth storyline started shining. The other couples stepped into new layers of drama. New cast dynamics formed. The season moved forward, proof that the series didn't need Martell to survive. And Martell felt that shift in every episode. Every scene, every edit, every fan comment, every silence. This was the wake-up call, a reminder that nobody, not even the person who helped bring the show to life, is bigger than the machine. But here's where the story takes an emotional turn, because beneath the ego, beneath the chaos, beneath the mistakes, Martell is still human. A man who made decisions that cost him his marriage, his reputation, and now his place in the show. A man who watched the life he built crumble in front of him while millions judged him online. A man who still wants to be seen as a father, a provider, a leader, even when his actions say otherwise. And that's why Carlos' message mattered, because sometimes people don't grow until someone finally tells them the truth. Sometimes the hardest lessons save you. Sometimes losing the spotlight gives you room to rebuild. Sometimes the downfall becomes the beginning of something better. Whether Martell listens is up to him, but the truth is simple. Carlos didn't humiliate him, he didn't destroy him, he didn't attack him, he warned him. And warnings are only given to people who still have a chance. So as this new season unfolds, Huntsville feels different. The energy is shifting, new alliances are forming, old wounds are reopening. And Martell is standing in the middle of it all, no longer the king, no longer the center, but still part of the story, if he chooses to rise above the chaos. Whether he takes the wake-up call seriously or continues down the same path determines everything: his future on the show, his image, his relationships, his entire narrative. Because in reality TV, power isn't about who talks the loudest. It's about who evolves, who grows, who learns, who survives. And right now, Martell Holt is standing at the crossroads of his own story. One direction leads back into the drama that nearly destroyed him. The other leads toward redemption. Slow, uncomfortable, but possible. Only time will tell which road he takes. But one thing is certain: Carlos King has spoken. The message was loud, the warning was clear, and the wake-up call? It was the loudest sound Martell has ever heard. And as the dust settles, one truth remains impossible to ignore. This was more than a warning. This was Carlos King drawing a line, reminding Martell that growth isn't optional anymore. The show is moving forward, the cast is evolving, and Huntsville is shifting into a new era. Now, the world is watching to see if Martell will finally rise above the chaos or fall deeper into the storm he created. Only he can decide what happens next. But one thing is certain: this wake-up call will echo through love and marriage Huntsville for a very long time.